as a creative, the time that we spend is sometimes incredibly fruitful and sometimes not fruitful at all. One of the things that I was able to fall back onto was rhythm and practice. When you don't have the strength inside of you to kind of keep going, if you have a rhythm, the rhythm allows you to keep going. Welcome to the podcast, Tapping Creativity, with myself, Matthew C. Temple. And each week, we're going to dive into questions and issues and inspiration around creativity and the creative process. Today, we'll be talking about rhythm and practice. As creatives, we really need to have a practice, and what practice is really ultimately a rhythm, something we do regularly. It's also, by definition, the work of a professional. Doctors and lawyers have a practice, and that is the work of a professional. As an artist, or creatives, we don't necessarily have this kind of same input output exchange that say certain professions have, like a doctor or a lawyer. A lawyer has a practice and they bill hourly. A doctor sees a patient and the patient comes in and pays for their time / their expertise, right? It's really what you're paying more is their expertise than their time. But as a creative, the time that we spend is sometimes incredibly fruitful and sometimes not fruitful at all. Sometimes we write crap. Sometimes we spend years writing crap. Sometimes you get in the flow and you bust something out. I mean, the first short film that I made, I almost shot the first draft. I wrote the first draft. I did a pass on it. And then I went back and just basically questioned all my assumptions. So for example, I had a straight white male as the main character and with a wife and a child, and then I had the bad guy, and so I went back and I made the protagonist gay, I made the bad guy a woman, just some of these things to kind of shake things up. But in general, that one flowed. I also have scripts that I've spent months and months and months on that just aren't quite there yet, and so that's a normal piece of the creative's process. And it's one of those things that we have to actually come to honor. And how do you honor that when there are times you just flow? And any person who's creative can relate to this, whether you are getting paid for your work, whether you are working for spec, you're working for free, or it's like a passion project and it's costing you money. Many of us have had some semblance of that always if we work professionally. Even if you are a professional creative or a professional artist, you still do a lot of work for free. There are still projects that you put your own money into. And if you're someone who does it simply for love of the game and has another career, then that's even more so. And so what are the things that we do to make sure that we're staying on target, whether or not we're having one of those times where stuff's just flowing and it's amazing, or conversely, where whatever comes out of us is just crap. And that's really where the rhythm and the practice comes in. And, I gave myself this really wonderful gift after my youngest kids graduated high school. I had started a family young and I moved to Hollywood and somehow found a way to, feed the family, pay the rent, then buy a house, pay the mortgage, and, kind of keep things moving, even during the recession when things got challenging. And one of the things that I was able to fall back onto was rhythm and practice. Now, that rhythm and practice, the Austrian philosopher and mystic Rudolf Steiner says that rhythm replaces strength, meaning when you don't have the strength inside of you to kind of keep going, if you have a rhythm, the rhythm allows you to keep going. It's the thing that when you go to brush your teeth, you might be really depressed, but granted there's extreme times where you don't shower and you brush your teeth, but in general, you're having a crappy day, you're having a crappy year, whatever. A bad year, you still go to work, you hope, if you have a job, right? You still feed yourself. You still do these certain things, brushing your teeth, taking a shower. And those things come from the fact that we really have an ingrained rhythm. And with the creative process, it's just so important to have that rhythm. So when this COVID thing started, I had plans that I was going to go to a film festival in Holland where I was going to have the Dutch premiere of Hardball, The Girls of Summer, my most recent documentary. And then I was coming back here to the States, going to stay for a couple months, and then had a trip to Germany planned, and then move back to Kenya. That was the plan. And then COVID hit, and all of a sudden, all the flights were canceled, the festivals canceled, everything. And we thought, okay, like I can kind of keep going with my practice, like whatever, I'm actually kind of happy. And then we bought another round of tickets. And then we're kind of getting ready to go, and those canceled. And when that happened, there was just kind of like the energy just was sucked out of me. I was sucked dry. And I found myself kind of getting up and going into my office, sitting in front of my computer and not really doing that much. And, the result of that then was, well, I didn't write. I wasn't working on any proposals. Things just weren't happening. Little things here and there, but I've dropped my rhythm. And part of it was like, oh, when are we going to go? When are we going to go? And then finally we got this repatriation flight and came back. And then it was finding out where we're going to stay while we're back. Can we go back to Kenya? Does it make sense? And so there was really all in all about 3 months where things just weren't really, like I was not in flow, and I had let my rhythm fall. And I think this is important to note real quickly, that letting the rhythm fall away or whatever, that's a normal part of the process. Unless you're Stephen King, who writes every day, unless you're Tom Petty, Jack London, there are these people who we know that get up in the morning as creatives and they go into their office and they sit in the desk and they write or they do their creative work 9 to whenever it is. They have their set period of time, whether it's 2 hours or 4 hours or 6 hours, and do the work and then get up and do whatever else. And it's a job. It's a job as though if you didn't show up, you'd be fired. And God bless those people. That's not most of us. And so for me, it always has to be something that I'm really focusing on, that I really bring my awareness to. But I want to share something with you, because usually like on Mondays, I'll sit down, I'll set up what my goals are for the week. And then I'll also set my intentions for the week, things that I would like to do, but if they don't happen, not the end of the world, or just something I'm holding. These are things that I want to be keeping in my mind, but not necessarily work on. And that works pretty well. But I found that my to-do list was getting really heavy, and the other stuff was, because there was so much to do, I was letting the other stuff kind of take back seat yet again. So I tried something, and I want to share it with you, and I'm really kind of happy with this. So on Mondays, I'll kind of like show you here. I get started here, and I write out the date. Let's see, that's the date there. And then I kind of like come over here and I do some of my standards of integrity, things I really want to hold on to. And then usually I do my list of things that I want to do for the week. But this week I did something different. I want to share it because I'm kind of excited about it. And that is, I've got my creative projects that I'm working on. And then I have my marketing things that I need to do for my website and for Facebook. And then all my to-dos, And I just wrote them out, marketing, creative, to-dos. And that's it. And then each day I'll go through and I basically put here, so this was Tuesday. Today's I didn't write out, in part because I knew exactly what I had to do. And we recorded a podcast and for the interracial couple and a couple other, editing things I had to do. But generally, I write this out. Here it's from 10 to 11. I'm doing editing, reviewing, and recording. 11 to noon. I had a meeting, noon to 12:30. I was going to do breakfast / lunch, 12:30 to 2 writing, a little workout, and then an hour for my to-dos, and then some time for some sort of Facebook stuff. So rather than saying, I said writing. Now, I have different things that I'm working on. So that kind of left open for me to decide, what do I want to work on today? What do I want to write on today? And I'm going to give this a shot for a little while, but I'm kind of excited about this. It takes away a little bit of that pressure that I tend to put on myself to get a certain something done. And I think there are different times for it. If you check out my book, The Creatives Handbook, you'll see, there are like having, goals and all this stuff and knowing like this is my deadlines. These are some of my milestones so that at the end of, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, whatever it is, I have what I want, at least completed. I really have a target and a clear map. But right now, there's a lot of different things, since the world is in flux and my life is in flux, rather than picking something right now, which I recommend, by the way, and if you see the book, you'll see how like important it is to pick something. But at the same time, it's also sometimes important to allow kind of a little bit of an openness. And that's where I'm going to be for a little while and really see what's going to emerge. So I write 3 blogs. They're kind of 2.5, as it were. So, writing blogs like I got to write a blog this week, and that's on my creative list. But whether I do it today or yesterday or tomorrow, I'm okay kind of seeing how that plays out. So I'll keep you posted, but I'm pretty excited about this. So if you have any questions about it, absolutely get in touch and let me know. And also, if you have your own systems, make sure to share them, MatthewCTemple.com, or, hit me up on any social media at MatthewCTemple. Share with me and whoever else is, the community is following along to see what are some of the tricks that you do or some of the questions or issues that you're having in order to, keep your rhythm and your practice. So that's it for this week. Looking forward to seeing you soon, and stay in touch.